You are now about to witness the awesome, crushing might of Woo! Welcome, my friends, to a show that seemingly apparently never ends. Round number 267. I am your host, Eugene S. With the S standing for sardonic. Look it up. I got something. Like Chi Chi Chong says, I don't know if I can open the trunk with it. No erection humor this early in the show. But it's a dead week, relatively speaking. Legacy, Bellator, I don't know if that really counts necessarily. But I got something for you. You might like it. You might not like it. If you don't like it, there are always options. Until then, Stigmata, intro, all of nothing, off of the CD, Calling of the Just, available where? Revelation Records. I'm taking a real good look at you. I'm taking a real good look at your face. Beard, payback, and full. Always nothing. All right, my friends. Listen. Okay, everything seems to be working relatively correctly. There's a lot of stuff given the nuclear explosion at the end of round number 268 last week's show that we didn't get a chance to get to in the last few minutes, and we're going to start off right with that immediately. Off with Anderson Silva. We got a commenter, a man known to me outside of the Knuckle Up universe, so technically a friend of Knuckle Up, who said, what about Anderson Silva? You may think that if we want to narcoticize MMA as a drug offering, you know, some of the offerings are high on the drug scale. Some of them return. I remember interviewing this doctor, and he said, you do realize, of course, that narcotics, chemically constructed, you know, exogenously introduced narcotics mimic your body's natural processes. In other words, it's like the theory of knowledge, right? If you follow a certain philosophical quarters, says that I show this to you, and you know right away what it is. This goes back to, have you ever looked at a cow and not known it was a cow? You know what it is. I show this to you, you also know what it is. In order to know what those things are, they have to have somehow entered into your head. I can show this to a dog, and it outside of the fact that it might smell like me, it has no meaning for Popeye. I could show this to an infant similarly. Experience is the best teacher. Experience over time tells you that this is what? It's a knife. Experience over time tells you, depending on how much experience you've had, that this is correctly a karambit. If you know even more, you know it is a German-made karambit. My point is, if I pulled something out of my bag of tricks right here that you had never seen before, that didn't exist in the realm of in that shoebox realm The universe is a shoebox in which is contained every single type of knowledge. If you hadn't seen it in there, you would not have words for it. It would not have. This is why aliens in movies are so completely amusing, because they're all humanoid. Except for this recent movie with the broad, and then the Jeremy Renner, and then the creatures, and they were kind of octopus-like. But even the fact that I could call them octopus-like means that they have a reference point, a pretty close two-step reference point in my reality. Never mind how, given the weight, heat distribution, international, galactic fucking space travel would not be possible with all that body mass. Who knows? It's a movie. So my point is that all this stuff, to a certain degree, comes from the realm of the known. Drugs that you take mimic, you get the dopamine receptors. They mimic things that naturally happen, just in a much more nitro burning, tanked up, gassed up way, right? I mean, and if you've ever taken illegal narcotics, if you know somebody who's taken them, you know that usually what they do, depending on which ones you take, maybe they keep you up awake, right? They keep you up all night. If you've ever, for whatever reason, work or emotional distress, have stayed up all night, you know that's about 50% of the way you feel the next day when you stay up all night. Narcotics actually probably do very little, or at least 50% of lifting. You know, you can force your body to do things that it naturally does. My point is that if we're going to use MMA, the cognate as MMA as a drug, you know, it mimics things that we naturally feel. These stories in macro are played out in our lives in micro. And when I say that 2017 has got something to look forward to, what I mean specifically is there's stuff happening that'll mimic or mirror things that are happening in your life that'll make the latter half of fucking 2017 especially fucking trenching. But Anderson Silva, I don't know if your LB alarm was going off, has been saying some LB-ish misty wood pile of shit. But again, do not take it's like I met some guy at the show, the Oxbow show, Oxbow. For those of you who can't spell shit right, it's not thing, thin black dude. So we played a show in Copenhagen. This guy comes up to me and says, man, I took a bunch of acid by accident last night. If I could do a book of things that have happened by accident, I'd have a pretty big book. Up to and including the guy who told me he sucked a dick by accident. I mean, from his point of view, I guess he was saying, when I left the house that night, I had no intention of sucking a dick. But of course, as the evening progressed, I ended up sucking a dick. Whatever, man. I don't know why people come confess to me. It's because I guess I do the sex column. They think I'll be understanding. And largely I am. It doesn't mean I'm not going to out you on Knuckle Up. Accidentally suck at Ian. No, his name is not really Ian. It's not really Ian. Yeah. Those are the words he used, whatever. So I look at Anderson Silva, and I'm looking at the misty woodpile-based pronouncements concerning his possible future. And, you know, it's like I don't know if you've ever gotten lost in a canyon and you're calling out for people and your voice is echoing off the walls and they can't really tell where you're coming from. And that's where we are with Anderson Silva. His voice is echoing off the canyon walls. And what is the end game for Anderson Silva? There's only one end game for Anderson Silva. Only one end game. And we all know what it is. Really? You don't? Let's look at Roger Ailes. What percentage of people, usually men, typically men, retire and then die within the first 6 months of retiring? Why do you think that is? Why do you think young men who have all of the pussy in the world, all of the cash in the world, all of the promise and hope in the world in front of them join the fucking military? Because like Sixto Rodriguez says, you know, These are the answers that'll make all your questions disappear. What am I doing tomorrow? I got Reveille. What after that? You know, I actually got my whole day planned out, and I don't even have to think about it because the drill sergeant's got that plan. There's a great comfort in that. You know, Charles Manson. One of the first things he did when they let him out of prison the first time before the killings in the '60s, he begged to not be released. My wife is dancing naked right on the other side of that. Oh, you can see it. You can see her shadow in the poster. You see, I'm not lying. He begged to not be released. Begged. Why? Because there's a structure, there's a framework. I find increasingly disturbing that this generation of youngsters, people that they're calling Generation Z, they spend so long with parents who are chasing a framework that they've come to see the framework as the enemy. I know a handful of 20-year-olds, and I can go down the list. Not passing judgment. Are you interested in books? Not really. You interested in music? I like some music. Like who? I don't really know. Are you interested in movies? Yeah, sort of. What's the last movie you saw? I don't really remember. Theater? Dance? No. Okay, fuck that. Maybe you're one of those people. You're a four-dimensional learner. You have to learn through time. You're into snowboarding, skateboarding. Not good. I mean, I can do it. What the fuck do you do? What the fuck are you interested in? Well, just doing what my friends do. Okay. What do they do? It's like that line from that song by the Adolescents, trash beyond belief to show the kids don't want to learn. So you see in Anderson Silva, you see an old school approach to, I'm going to retire. I'm not going to retire. I'm back. The game is past me. I can't take it serious. Depression's too much. I need it relieved. I'm back. My leg's okay. I think I'm okay. Oh, God bless me. Oh, I got the penis pills. Oh, God. What am I going to? And then he's like saying crazy shit. They got a whole generation of the Japanese fathers and husbands who get dressed every day, and you think this is apocryphal? You think it happened only in the 80s after the crash in Japan? Shit still happens. Guys are leaving the house and going and sitting in parks all day. I know. Shinjuku. I was hanging out in a park at Shinjuku, a park I came to call Frosha Park. Frosha is a Japanese word for a homeless guy. Now, there might be inducements. I know some woman who went to Frosha Park and had a full-blown relationship with a guy who lived in a fucking refrigerator box. A college girl. She was living life on the wild side. She had passions that kind of congealed around a guy in a refrigerator box in the park in Shinjuku. My point is that this kind of a panic about the library quiet of your life without your life as you've known it creates all kinds of crazy things. Why do you think fucking Floyd Mayweather, this idea, yes, he's an entertainer. And this is not much of a physical challenge for him, he imagines. But what's much more significant, much more telling in my mind, is the fact that sits at home, entourage leaves, because why have a hype man if there's nothing to hype? So why you're just looking at these cats and looking at you? Hey, why don't you shake it on home? Where do you live? You actually live here? How long you been living here? What the fuck? So you get disgusted with the Kato Kalins, you get disgusted with the hangers-on, and then you're left with the library quiet of you and the next 40 fucking years of your life. Now, you have an excuse. You thought it would last forever, did it? These 18, 19, 20-year-olds don't know what their excuses are. Because at some point, that curtain is going to rise, and you're going to have some kind of fucking dance figured out. I mean, you know, that's a archetypical kind of imitation of a teenager. What do you want to do? Mm-hmm. What do you want to do? Mm-hmm. Yeah, really? I was never a teenager like that because I wanted to get the fuck out of the house. I looked in the newspaper, wanted to get my own apartment. I need $300 a month for my own apartment. Jesus Christ. What do I do for money? I got first and last months. Okay, that's $600. I got security deposit. Okay, this is back in $700 in Manhattan, Lower East Side. I'm going to do that. I got to make $700 a month. How am I going to do that? I can't do it working at a fast health food store, which is where I used to work when I was 17. Maybe I'll give massages. Oh, thank you. Maybe I'll give massages. That was another sideline. Maybe I'll get a job as a male stripper. That was another sideline. A disco dance instructor. Another sideline. Maybe I could have sex with money for money. Let me tell you something. A lot less glamorous than it seems. I'm joking. Anyway, my point is Anderson Silva is about to write a big check with his fucking mouth that his ass and his body cannot, but there are reasons for it. So Anderson Silva's life outside of MMA. I do. I know the celebrity that attends being Anderson Silva. I know things about Anderson Silva that I don't even talk about on the show. I know that the yawn of the library silence is tough. So these guys start to say stuff, and I don't have a problem with it. You know, if I'm the bald one, I sit up, you know, who's also dealing with that. Because while the bald one doesn't really have it, he has a certain significant element of it, which is a loud mouth, right? I mean, when we talk about it in relationship to Muhammad Ali, we're talking about essentially a loud mouth. Tell me one thing you heard Ken Norton say that you remember. Hmm? You remembered a lot of what Tito did, because whether he was speaking or whether he was shooting the double birds, he took up a lot of air, took up a lot of space. Shit you remember. Baldwin has figured out that this is a necessary part of the equation. He's not the most charismatic guy in the world, but he's got a shtick that's well played, much like our president. Floyd Mayweather, he loses to you know, my easy and early and ready prediction. Easy and early ready prediction in regards to the Conor McGregor Floyd Mayweather thing is hype. Do not believe the hype. There is absolutely nothing that's to be gained by this fight being played straight. Absolutely nothing. And if you're not paying attention to this fight, anything that smells, that stinks in Denmark is something to watch out for. Because if one fight is good, two fights will be better. And if you don't see this coming right now, you need to hear me say it now. Negro Damas, you need to hear me say it. A sketchy ref stoppage, you know, fucking injury, you know, McGregor getting caught in the ropes and accidentally, you know, doing a hip throw, forgetting where he's from. It's WWE land now. Who's sanctioning this? With no boxing record come in. This is crazy time. This is entertainment sports, not sports entertainment. It is not. Therefore, anything that happens, like that time, remember that time that guy had set me up with the mother of his girlfriend? And right as I'm about to go over there, he says, listen, if anything seems in the slightest bit not right, like, you know, your senses, your spider sense starts tingling, you get out of there. And I go, what the fuck? Well, I want to go and, you know, semen delivery service. I want to get in, get out, nobody gets hurt. He's like, she's fucking heavily bipolar, man. Otherwise, why do you think she's going for this? Huh. Yeah, I'll pass. It's the same kind of thing. Anything with this Mayweather-McGregor fight that seems slightly sticky, remember, I told you so. Because their ultimate objective, once they pay out 100 mil here and 100 mil there, the ultimate objective, do you realize the Baldwin stands to make more for doing nothing but letting this guy leave the house for a second? Out the aggravation? Oh, he's saying there's plenty of aggravation. That's ginning up the fight. If one fight is good, 2 fights will be better. How about this as a scenario? Sketch enter the first, rematch necessary. McGregor is game through the first one enough so people believe a rematch will actually tell the tale. Mayweather down, it's so close, and then they have to do a trilogy. Because if 2 are good, 3's even better. As long as you have a nickel in your wallet, they're interested. Corral a Baldwin in Vegas, sausage on plates, baby. You don't have any sausage. You had sausages on a plate. He would have already known about your plate and your sausages. When he's talking to you, you got to know that he knows that it's going to result in one thing only, and it's him walking away with a plate that's a sausage lighter. And he can forestall it. Hey, buddy, you want some free tickets? Take those tickets and shove up your ass. On a job. Really? Yep. Are you a fighter? Nope. See you later. Fighters are those sausages. They do not have sausages. So get prepared for Sketch. And get prepared for Mayweather to like it. Like when they have a serial killer in TV dramas, he's going to kill it. In TV dramas, he's going to kill again. How do you know? I think this was Dirty Harry and Cleans for Dirty. He likes it. What's to not like? McGregor is doing all the heavy lifting. You go on forums, the work's already being done. Boxing fans against MMA fans against boxing fans. You got people who are saying, oh, this is how desperate boxing is because this is the only thing that's exciting. Understand internal motivations. And internal motivations here have everything to do with the fact that how the fuck are you going to be retired at 44? This is the best sausage-making enterprise in the world. The best in the fucking world. Yep, Anderson Silva just feels left out the GSP fight. Yeah, you know what? I mean, him in that GSP fight, it's a fight he thinks he can win. He's smart, but not so smart that he figures like, you know, Bisping is a naked smart that I like. He's like, oh, GSP won't be ready till November? Yo, if I'm 4 or 5 rolls in a jiu-jitsu training session and the dude who's 300 pounds comes over and goes, yo, Eugene, let's roll. I'm like, go fuck yourself. You want to roll with me? You get me the first 2 rolls. You wait till I've had 5 rolls. You just want to beat up an old man. And then I roll with him. That's the equivalent to the little guy getting off the bar stool after he's been an asshole all night and saying, what are you going to do? You're going to beat me? What do you prove? You beat a little guy. That's my version of it. So everybody is doing a couple of different things. And this is why MMA as a drug is mimicking patterns that my body naturally does, because writ large, writ small, this is exactly what we are doing right now. If you are not checking your life clock today, then you got some magic sauce that I need to know about. And you're doing it all the time. You read a Facebook posting about some guy got a new job and go, shit, should I get a new job? And that guy's doing all right. If he can put some sausages on my plate. I'm honest about my sausage interest. You know, I find out that that's very not California. You know, for whatever reason, grasp social, not social climbing, but ambition, raw ambition is sort of frowned on. Everything's supposed to be easy in California. You know, I hate to repeat the story. That friend of mine, producer in LA at Paramount, says, Eugene, why don't you come along? And I'm sitting in the back of the room, and the producer says to my friend, I'm really looking for male writers for Saturday Night Live. I either got to pull a What Makes Sammy Run move and raise my hand right away and just, thereby ruining things with my friend, or I wait for the right thing to happen. I wait for my friend to say, oh, hey, it's part of my rock and roll fantasy. Hey, I got a guy. Is anybody in the audience who can play the violin? Yes, Eugene can. And he rises up and he plays the violin. This is the same friend who said, I'll meet you in your hotel room at 7. Calls me at 7. I can't meet you until 7:30. Can't meet you at 8. I got a meeting with some hot shit executives. Finally calls me at 10:30. And says, I finished the meeting. It was hell. Really busy. The guys are very cool. Which guys? The guys from South Park. Oh shit, those guys are pretty funny. Where'd you guys go? Oh, we were in the bar downstairs. You were in the bar downstairs. Downstairs in the hotel where my hotel room was. Well, I sat dressed in that room like a fucking dog in the dark eating wet cigarettes. And you sat with these guys who are looking for fucking comedy writers, and I'm a fucking comedy writer, and you left me in the room. Well, no, Eugene, listen, you should use your skills and talents to get up here like I did. But what about that fucking ladder next to you, you ladder pulling piece of shit? Oh, I didn't use that. That ladder? I don't know where that came from. Stop it. The naked face, Bisping is making the right fucking move. What are you kidding? Are you kidding? You know what I got at home? I got a belt. Fuck you. You know, you want to stay relevant? You know, what I did to gin up this fight or any future fight, I got the belt. It's built in. You know, now Mighty Mice might be saying, oh, no, it's not. I don't get it. I don't get a bye because I got the belt. That's because there's a paucity of real competition for it. There's not a paucity of real competition for somebody like a Bisping. There's a lot. So let those guys duke it out. You know, you got a shallow field in light heavy. So the only game in town is Johnny Boney Joni and DC. And let me tell you something. DC is the winner. Oh, Eugene, does that mean you think he's gonna beat John Jones? I didn't say that. Just said he's a winner. He won. He won. Now, I never bought that. I don't give a shit. I never bought that. Oh, John Jones, he's so fake. He's fake. He's fake. And the real John Jones versus the actual John Jones, the heel versus the hidden heel. I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. I know that I'm not believing in any of it. Cosby was a nice guy. I watched a movie last night called The Devil's Mistress about who had an affair with. And I'm at the end of the movie. I go, what lessons in this fucking movie? Will you expect me to feel family? You know? She was fucking around with a Nazi. Why? She's fucking around with a Nazi because of his intellect. He wrote a book when he was a sensitive young writer, a novel, a young man's coming of age story. That's fine. His fucking intellect. Make men attractive to women. This guy did not have outside of power, which is a pretty major aphrodisiac. So her family gets all fucking scuttled. The mother gets, her mother dies during an interrogation. The sister commits suicide. The father's leg gets amputated. She's jailed and is almost hanged. And whatever, man, whatever. Collaborating piece of shit. My point is that I think I have to say that Bisping's activity is highly defensible. DC has won by virtue of the fact that he can retire untarnished. If all he's got to look back on are his losses to a highly damaged Johnny Boney Joni, what the fuck does he give a shit? He's got the commentating gig. He now that he is kind of comfortably shouldered his way into, you know, his whole desire, love me, the thing, and then suddenly he's like, all right, fuck you guys. You're booing me and this cocaine taking, dick pill huffing, fucking, you guys suck. All right, that's what I want to hear. I got a job with or without you. I don't need you. And boy, more. What he does, like that movie, The Duel. I don't know if you see with Harvey Keitel and Keith Carradine. You know what? If he wins, he fucking retires and wins again. You know, put my gloves down, Johnny Boney Joni. I handed you your second loss, your first real loss, and I retire with the belt. I leave it to light heavy, Sonny. He gets beaten by him. Well, I already got beat by him once. Whatever, you know. Who knows? Systematic denial of the reality of experience. Who knows what that drug-taking, penis pill huffing monkey is doing? I don't know. I'm going to go back to my commentating gig, and good luck to you. You and the guy who will inevitably end up disappointing you. Because listen, I don't know if you've been arrested. I got arrested, and I got put on probation for 18 months for false information to a police officer. 18 months. Stay clean, 18 months? Not as you're fucking Tupac. Sorry, my leg is killing me. Somehow this VW is killing my right leg. I need to start doing yoga. You can see the shirt. So DC wins. He is the winner. He really doesn't beat the guy. He retires no matter what. Why would he continue? Gus doesn't stick his head up. He's trying to make a resurgence. You know, Johnny Bonajoni has Rumble's gone. He's left in that, you know, it's like a guy who buys a house, rents a house, the house gets fucked up, he comes back, it's like, man, this is not even a place I want to live anymore. This is not even a place I want to live, and I'm stuck with it. Why did I go over to that heavyweight house? And are there money fights there? And it's pretty easy to stay clean for 18 months. You know, I've managed to stay clean since then. I've never been back to jail. How is that possible? I think mostly jail is not a criminal test. It's an intelligence test. I understand speeding. I speed all the time. You know what I don't speed with? I don't speed with a car full of fucking crystal meth and guns. If I got a car full of guns and crystal meth, I'm probably doing the speed limit. Excuse me. Could be driving without a license because I left it in my gym bag somewhere else, but I'm not driving with an unopened container. It's a collection of stupid around Johnny Boney Joni that makes people feel bad because you can't avoid that type of stupid. Spaghetti, sometimes they say, do not stick the spaghetti in your ear. You know what had to happen before they put that on a pack of spaghetti? Some dumbass had to sue because they had the eardrum pierced because of the fucking the spaghetti. So, in a strange twist of fate, DC wins for all time. And he doesn't have to beat John Jones to do it. John Jones, if he beats DC again, has proven actually really nothing because he beat him one time. And now he's the owner of a house, absentee landlord style, that nobody's convinced that he can keep or hold. Thanks, bud. Did it to yourself. Thank you. Anderson Silva is trying to get GSP. GSP is undecided. There's a method to GSP's madness. Because until GSP agrees to fight, and I could be wrong about this, I'm sure you'll correct me if I am. Until GSP agrees to fight, he can keep honoring his contract with his other sponsors. You know, that's how I used to chase away telemarketers. Have you ever thought about making money while you sleep? Oh boy, people want to get off the phone when you start like that. I could double your investment. Oh, Popeye's twitching. He's got bad eye thing. Somebody said, you know, you don't own a dog. you cohabitate with a dog. And they're largely right. I start looking at Popeye like, hey, man, he's on the floor over here. I say, hey, bro, you ready for that one-way trip? Bro, I can't be dropping $5 on you because you got a fucking eye problem. Jesus Christ, you're on your own. I got the fucking money. You know how I had $11,000 worth of bills in fucking May. May's an unforgiving month. $11,000 worth of bills. You know how many fucking, you know how many cards I had to pull to get that? It's a mark of how generous I am. I'm always lending money out to people because I know it's gonna go, you know, I won't ask you for it. It's called my hedge against inflation. I won't ask you for it. When I ask you for it, I fucking need it. I need it. I need it. So I'll float you a few months. Hey, whatever. When I ask, I need it. Barely by the skin of my teeth. $900 home insurance bill. Auto insurance bill. All due at the same time. Bill. Property tax. I'm sure. The world's smallest violin. I got you. But the point is, let's get back to MMA. The point is, you know, the two upper divisions are fairly fucked. They are fairly fucking fucked. But, Eugene, how is it, hey, Mr. Eugene, how is it that you feel overridingly positive? Positive because the WME thing has started to wash out. They had that big meet and greet. It's like that guy who tried to get me to have sex with him who worked with Andy Warhol. I won't mention his name. He's like, this is just the way people in Hollywood make it. And well, I don't know about that. So, show me one guy who hasn't. I said, Gary Cooper. He's like, I look at old pictures of Gary Cooper. I'm like, shit, maybe he's right. But I'm not making it that way. It's just called association, man. Pals, friends. Friends help friends. Hanging out, celebrities, Ari Emanuel's pals. Hey, you want to come to a party at my house? God, I got a bunch of fighters coming up. Ooh, rough trade. It's great. Get it out. We said it first on If I Did It. Everybody's trying to be Conor. That's only a part of the puzzle. What's much more significant about that Conor puzzle is that people have figured out that fighting is just a marketing accelerator for everything else. And they've also figured out that you don't have to have the Conor it, but you got to have some sort of it. And that it starts out with getting people to fame. I want them to remember my name. So that Conor McGee doesn't turn around and say, who the fuck is that guy? And people laugh because exactly. Jeremy Stevens, exactly. The fuck is that guy? So why am I feeling overridingly positive about, despite the fact that Chris Weidman is talking crazy? Because all of a sudden, what I'm seeing is a lot of light, a lot of friction, light, and therefore heat. And it means that y'all have wised up. You figured out that the old boss is gone, and complaining about pennies is pointless when you're talking about big, giant sausages. 2020? Yeah, 2020. You think it's a joke? You think it's a fucking joke? They're talking, if you haven't gotten this already, they're talking about Dwayne Johnson for the President of the United States of America. And that's not a fucking joke. You know how I know it's not a joke? Because of the timing. You know what the timing means? You have to have time to build up an organization before you can seriously consider a run for president. And that time starts now. You have to have a ground operation. You have to have people who believe in you. You have to start this far out. Yes. And, you know, it's not entirely crazy that the same people that voted for Trump would vote for The Rock, regardless of political orientation. This is how everybody got snookered. Because my opinions on Trump are not connected to party affiliation. Right? Because my bank account is not affected. It doesn't give a shit about party affiliation. Yeah, I know people are sick of hearing people say, well, I'm fiscally conservative, I'm socially liberal, but fiscally conservative. You know, I don't give a fuck about that. We don't really give a shit about parties. The stupid ones among us do. I want somebody who's relatively smart. The last smart president we have that was Republican in my mind was George H.W. Bush. And then the one before them that was smart was Nixon. Sorry, he was. Jimmy Carter, plenty smart, not very effective. Clinton, plenty smart, got the penis problem. And frankly, they still haven't found a way to get out of the proto-Republican loop driven by the departed Roger Ailes. They haven't been able to figure out how to get out of those attacks. Think about how Trump would deal with it if the Fox machinery had turned against him. That's something that I used to hang out with this guy, Mickey Mouse, who would routinely get into fights with people, and his entree into fights was always, "Who's a faggot?" and swing around and hit somebody. Nobody had called him a faggot. He had just wanted to hit somebody. So your response in that instance, when you hear that, is just to punch him in the mouth. The Clintons would, somebody introduces the weeds, comfortable getting dragged down into the weeds. Oh, you raped my babysitter. I didn't rape your babysitter. You know what? You got got. Where's a political version of who the fuck is this guy? So, so we have Chris Weidman. We have everybody realizing simultaneously at the same time that the bald one is stepping into a $300 million limo. Connor McGee is stepping into a Rolls Royce. And apparently somebody was questioning in the comments section whether the Diaz's could live out the rest of their lives comfortably on $12 million in Stockton, which is to laugh. The answer is yes. MMA is back in a place where it needs to be. Gladiatorial combat over the thing that matters most, life. Life. You want to be a Chuck Liddell? I gotta get back to the gym, buddy. Gotta get back to the gym. Getting strong now. How many fights do you have in them before people go, you know what? The natural process that's being mimicked in my brain when I see a Chuck Liddell get iced happen in my brain with great frequency. So I'm not watching. Not watching, don't want to know, don't care. Sorry, Chuck. Trying to knuckle up. And it doesn't, and frankly, it doesn't matter. Conor McGregor could go poop on the sidewalk tomorrow, and we got news headlines. When's his next fight? Well, now it looks like it's a fight against Mayweather. When was his last fight? Who knows? It is glorious. Gloriosity. Rambling over trying to how to duplicate the magic sauce of it can't be duplicated. Cannot be fucking duplicated. It doesn't matter. The bald one is not trying to duplicate it. He's not trying to duplicate it at all. He's just doing what he does. That small element of the it that he has his hand on, functionally being a loudmouth, that's his shit. When was the last time Matty Serra fought? Matty Serra's still in the mix, hasn't fought for years. Why? Got a certain amount of that it. Matt Riddle left. Ever thought about Matt Riddle? I just said that name, Matt Riddle. What happened in your head when I said Matt Riddle? Yeah, isn't that pothead? Maybe that's what you got. The thing is that makes this more crucial than any fucking fight is that the path of the righteous is beset on all sides. It's not like you have to go far for a cautionary tale. You don't have to go far at all. We are where basketball and football were in the mid-'70s, where all of a sudden guys start to make real money. And it's musical chairs. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to be when the music stops? And why the fuck is Fedor still fighting? Is it because of the library silence of his home, or because he actually needs the cash because Finkelstein ran off with his and M1 ran off with his money? Don't know. But I do know something, that the winners and the losers, as delineated by what happens in the remaining half of 2017, are going to be stark. It's going to be stark. So fundamentally, what you have fundamentally. Oh, is that, yeah? Is it Matt Riddle said he needs weed not to beat up his kids? Yeah, fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. And you know what? Let me say, I help me with this. The whole bullying thing. Your kid comes home and says, "This guy punched me in the face today at school." And you call the principal and say, "My kid was punched in the face today at school." The principal says, "I'll look into it." Principal talks to the teacher. The teacher says to Johnny, "Johnny, come here. Were you punched in the face by so-and-so today?" He's like, "Now, the other guys look at his now." So I don't know what happened. The kids argue, goes back to the principal. And the principal says, "Yeah, it was inconclusive." And you go, "Okay, Johnny, we'll just tough it up, kid." You know what Eugene Robinson's MO is? "Oh, Johnny punched you in the face? Okay. I'll drive you to school tomorrow." Drive him to school. "Where's Johnny?" Hey, Johnny. Hey, come here, son. Come here. "Hey, your dad, does he drop you off?" "No." "Where's your dad? Where's your dad?" "See, I want you to give a message from me to your dad." Yeah, the message is, if you hit my son again, I'm going to show up at your house and fuck your father up on the front lawn of the fucking house. You got it? Because it's not the kid's fault. And indeed, he's probably being beaten up by his father, would love to see this happen. The father's a tough enough guy. He accepts a challenge, and we're fist fighting on the lawn. Problem solved. Now, I don't know if this is a good thing. I haven't talked to my cop friends about it to find out. I mean, there are ways that you can issue a threat without being guilty of assault, right? Where you say, if you say, "I'm going to kill you," you've committed a crime. But if I say I'm going to, I am going to, let's see, I am going to make you regret you were ever born. That's pretty non-specific. I mean, I could show you porno pictures of your mother. That might make you sad. Anyway, I got sidetracked. I was talking about real fight. We are now with gladiatorial politics for the remainder of 2017. Guys are not fighting. They're not just, before, when it was a bald one, they were fighting for cash. With the exception of only a minor few, most of these guys right now are fighting for their lives. Fighting for their lives. And if you haven't seen in the last few fights where all of a sudden you walk away from the fight and that MMA drug has kicked in and dug deep, you're like, man, that was something. Puro, baby. Vayamon, man. Something else. Why? Because bit by bit, even the stupidest ones have realized that they're fighting for their fucking lives. Rarely any of us have to do. You work as a mechanic? Yeah, I can pretty much say that your June will look a lot like your May. It's not like, okay, got some cars coming in here. These are cars like you've never seen. You fix this car well, you could be living. You could be on Jimmy Fallon. You could be hanging out with Scarlett Johansson. You could be hanging out. You could be down at Mr. Chow's. You could be hanging out in Beverly Hills, the Beverly Center with Halle Berry. You could be doing all these things. But if you fix the car poorly, you could essentially be working with Manny, Mo, and Jack or Meineke's next month. Speaking of which, Bellator, I know you guys want me to talk about Paul Daly. There was some talk about how both Paul Daly and Rory McDonald were skipping hand in hand to the Lost Battalion. I'm not sure about that. the biggest thing with Rory McDonald was he had to show that whatever weird, horrible shit the UFC does to fighters' heads, which clearly they had done to his head, that shit wasn't happening anymore. I don't know what was happening. You know, you got, you know, dysfunctional organizations, shit happens. And people get weird and weird and weird and weird. And now he was fighting like a guy renewed, like he knew how to fight because, you know, where does the road turn? That's Diana Ross. Tell me where the road turns. So whether it's Bellator, which I still feel comfortably calling a B league, or whether it's boxing, who realizes, you know what, our lifestyle could be evaporating. That this is good for business. And the more they fight, the more, you know, the more that people are talking about boxing, and talk about relevancy. I mean, essentially, what's happening now between boxing and MMA is what happened when MMA first started. Well, who will win? What style will win? Jim Lampley, who I interviewed for the Fight Book, said he hated MMA because he's a big boxing fan. Watching MMA, sorry, I gotta put the thing. Watching MMA was like listening to somebody speak fake Chinese. It was sort of insulting and not very effective. So, well, you know, we adapt MMA, we adapt boxing for MMA rules, but that doesn't stop the fact we've got good boxers here, and it's on. We're back to UFC 1. No harm, no foul. And Conor McGregor will be back to MMA, and MMA will be healthier for it. Anybody who in boxing who can't get his bones made starts to pick up an equivalent sort of MMA guy. So yeah, I'll fight him. Maybe they even step over the fence. In other words, all the good things that could happen, even to guys that you don't expect them to happen to, Chris Weidman, are happening. Because what happens in the cage is only a fractional importance to the game in total called MMA. It's mixed martial arts mixed martial in French, but it is a total 360-degree approach to it now. And you know, I don't know whether this was something that Ari Emanuel and WME had worked out, IMG, or it just happened and they realized, fuck, this is where we are. Nobody gives a fuck except the degenerate gamblers about the final score necessarily. What do you think about the pregame shows? Pregame show? People watch pregame shows. Why do they watch pregame shows? Why? Because it's everything around it. So you look at these fights coming up. We got exciting fights coming up for the remainder of 2017 because you have exciting fighters who realize that they're not just fighting for $5,000, $10,000 purse. They're not just fighting for, you know, that the ubiquitous sign, I need the belt on. They're not fighting for that. They're not fighting for that. No. They're not. They're fighting for continued significance. You don't think so? Why do you see the usually taciturn Demetrius Johnson taking a shot at Honda Housey this week? People lose. Man up. What? Gotta start talking. We don't know you're in the room. You're not in the room. If we don't know you're in the room, you're not in the room. I don't know where you are. God, it's killing me. I don't know where you are, but you're not in the room. Ground control, Major Tom. So we got next week coming up. We're going to talk about it on Care Don't Care, and probably If I Did It on Tuesday night. But I'm going to give you a little touch in the last 6 minutes that we have before we get the fuck out of here. Gustafsson and Teixeira. These guys of all people realize it. And strangely enough, I never called Gustafsson his lost battalion. Why? It seemed like he was keenly appreciative of exactly where it was that he was. He had to get his head together, but he wasn't imagining anything beyond getting his head together. And if he's back, we're looking to see what kind of guy comes back and what kind of shape his head is in. And I'm saying that there's not a single fighter of any worth in the UFC who hasn't gotten that the game has changed. Teixeira, given his age, same deal. Got to erase that highlight shit. Got to erase that highlight shit from with Anthony Johnson knocking him the fuck out. Got two super motivated fighters, Teixeira and Gustafsson. All right. There are other fights in the card. I'm predicting, low number of cares. I'm not going to go into that in the show. I don't want to cheat the care, don't care preview. That's the main one. Chris Camozzi, Marcin Held. There are, a few people of interest too. And I'm sure you guys text me, oh, why did you, Pedro Munoz, don't you see? I'm sure these fighters, Abdel Razak, I'm sure that they adhere to Ben Saunders. I'm sure they adhere to what is now a WME meme, just to get guys who have pretty fucking dominating records but have no juice behind them. You don't have to tell them shit because they understand the math now. They understand the math. You know? Understand the math. You understand the mathematics. So, so this fight, again, it's more like boxing where, the headliner carries the biggest weight. So you could maybe show up at 8 o'clock and get it if the undercard doesn't give you any certain amount of pleasure. And that's on the 28th. I'm sorry I keep complaining that you don't know what I'm complaining about. But my right leg, I think my right leg is about to drop off. I think I can safely say that I've got right leg itis, whatever that is. So anyway, and then you've got June 3rd, you've got Jose Aldo and Holloway. Big fight, big fight. Similarly, guys who they understand the math, they understand the mathematics. From Gadella to Kowalkiewicz, Belfort, Marquardt, Ansukawa, Moraes, Eric Silva. You don't think he understands the mathematics? Yuri Alcantara. Sorry. There's a lot. They took $100 million out of the bank. They don't intend to have things get queer for the rest of it. And then in July, you've got Johnny Boney Joni, who, according to my spies, actually might make it through this one. Because we know what happens if he doesn't. This is the 18-month probation period that Eugene Robinson actually made it out of. So it is not just incrementally better. Incrementally better. The game has fucking changed in a very significant and huge way. From that press conference that you just saw with Kevin Lee and the other dude and the people. And that, that people, everybody's, the headline on If I Did, everybody's trying to be Conor, whatever, man. People have understood the fundamental need to get seen outside the cage means you will get watched inside the cage. And if you don't squeeze the maximum entertainment value out of a Chuck Liddell before he depresses us, or the Matt Hughes before they depress us, you are fucking crazy. MMA-ARP is something that's a real thing at this point. You got Matt Hughes, you got BJ Penn still knocking around, you got Chuck Liddell, and Anderson Silva, who's making noises, wanting to go against GSP, has on a certain level realized I can't just sit at home. And if I'm not just going to sit at home, we got to do something that has some sort of significance. And it sure as fuck is not going to be fighting Leo Romero. So, so there you go. Show's done. I made it to the end without the show crashing. No nuclear event. Thank God. This is round number 267. I'm getting closer to being able to tell you stuff that, this is like your parents when they get divorced and they start telling you shit you never really want to hear. I have to tell you, like Tinkerbell and Peter Pan, the comments that you leave about me being MMA Journalist of the Year, they actually have an effect. They increase my desire to continue living. But I don't know if it's going to be enough. But I will reveal all by 251 before Flambe. But in any case, right now, let's not spend time in morbid self-attentions. Let's spend time being a person like other people and ending round number 267. Thank all 48 of yous for listening live. Those rest of yous who haven't, you'll be able to listen to it on Monday, Face Punching Monday. I'm going to tell you right now, go to iTunes, go to Amazon, go to iTunes, iTunes, Bandcamp, Spotify, type in the word Oxbow and type in Thin Black Duke and buy this fucking record. I wouldn't be telling you this. Have I ever told you that with any other Oxbow record? I have not. I'm telling you because it is as described by multiple reviewers, including NPR, BBC, The Guardian. It is a masterpiece. And if it makes you uncomfortable me saying that, then you've not been here long enough. Anyway, the show is done. 267. I'll see you on Tuesday night for If I Did It, and then probably Wednesday morning for Care Don't Care preview. Give the show a thumbs up. Eugene S. Robinson style. Give the show a thumbs up. And if you want to, I've taken down the gates on Twitter at Eugene S. Robinson on Twitter, so anybody can come in. Mr. Sleep 3 on Instagram, but you still I gotta approve you. That's still a closed party. That's still a Studio 54 party because I don't want any spies in there. Anyway, we'll see you soon. We'll talk to you next week.